High Commander Zexra stared at the holographic display with all four of his eyes, mandibles clicking in agitation. The stealth probe's final transmission played again. A primitive Earth defense satellite somehow detecting their most advanced cloaking technology, followed by a crude but devastatingly effective kinetic strike. The probe's death scream contained readings that should have been impossible. "Play it again," he ordered, antennae twitching. "Focus on their weapon signatures." The Federation's science officer, a crystalline being named X-427, complied. "High Commander, these readings suggest their projectile was guided by quantum entanglement principles, but their technological level indicates they shouldn't even understand basic fusion theory. Yet they do." Zexra's outer eyes narrowed. "And they're implementing it in ways our scientists claimed were impossible." The hologram shifted to show Earth's defense grid. Primitive chemical rockets and kinetic weapons filled their orbital space like a crude metal web. But interspersed among them were signatures that made no sense. Microfusion reactors smaller than Federation safety protocols allowed, quantum-guided weaponry that ignored standard laws of physics, and shield technologies that appeared to be reverse-engineered from principles the Federation had abandoned millennia ago as too unstable. "They're breaking all the rules," X-427 observed, crystal facets flickering with concern. "Because they don't know they exist." A third voice joined them, melodious and dangerous. Ambassador Votel of the Inner Council glided into the command center, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with barely contained alarm. "This is precisely why we established the technological guidelines. Unfettered development leads to chaos. These humans, they're developing like a virus, taking forbidden concepts and mutating them into forms we never considered." Zexra brought up another display, showing Earth's rapid technological progression. "Look at this curve. In mere centuries, they'd gone from primitive combustion engines to achieving what our scientists called impossible. Their development isn't just fast, it's accelerating. And dangerous," Votel added. "Their weapons may be crude, but they're effective. That probe was our most advanced design. Nothing should have detected it, let alone destroyed it so efficiently." X-427's crystalline form shimmered with analytical patterns. "Their approach to physics itself is alien to us. They're not building on established principles. They're brute-forcing their way through problems we decided were unsolvable. And succeeding." The command center fell silent as implications sank in. Humanity wasn't just advancing. They were evolving their technology in ways that threatened the very foundations of Federation doctrine. Every solution they created ignored centuries of established theory, proving possible what the Federation had labeled impossible. "We must act," Votel declared. "Standard protocols are clear. Any civilization developing unauthorized technology must be contained and redirected." Zexra's mandibles clicked in agreement, but uncertainty colored his voice. "The Security Council hasn't called an emergency session in 3 centuries. This will cause panic. Better panic than allowing this infection to spread." Votel's bioluminescence shifted to warning reds. "Imagine if other species learn that humans achieved what we said couldn't be done. The entire Federation's technological hierarchy could collapse." "Containment, then," Zexra concluded. "We offer them membership under strict controls. If they refuse, they won't have a choice," Votel interrupted. "We are the Federation. We've guided galactic development for millennia. We won't let some primitive species destroy everything we've built." As if in answer to her declaration, new alerts flashed across the holographic display. Earth's quantum signatures were spiking again. They were testing something new, something that made even less sense than their previous innovations. X-427's crystals pulsed with worry. "High Commander, Ambassador, these readings suggest they're not just breaking our rules of physics. They're rewriting them." The Federation's leadership stared at the display, watching as humanity continued to achieve the impossible. None of them spoke the truth that hung heavy in the command center. For the first time in centuries, The Federation faced something it couldn't predict or control, and that terrified them more than anything. Captain Jack Morrison stood at parade rest on the United Earth Defense Force's main platform, watching the Federation's diplomatic vessel dock with calculated precision. The massive ship gleamed like polished mercury, its hull displaying technological superiority in every curve. That was deliberate, he knew. Everything about this first contact was carefully choreographed to remind humanity of their place in the cosmic hierarchy. "Nervous, Captain?" Admiral Chen asked, joining him at the observation window. Morrison's lip quirked slightly. "No, ma'am. Just wondering if they've noticed our gift yet." The Admiral's expression remained professional, but her eyes sparkled. "You mean the fact that the UES Nightmare has been shadowing their ship for the past hour? Undetected." "That's the one." The Federation delegation emerged from their ship with perfectly orchestrated grace. High Commissioner Votel led the procession, her bioluminescent skin shifting through patterns that probably meant something significant to her species. 6 other alien representatives followed, each chosen to represent the Federation's diversity and power. They hadn't noticed the Nightmare. Good. The introductions were tedious but necessary. Morrison endured them stoically, noting how Votel's translator carefully emphasized certain words: guidance, protection, compliance. The underlying message was clear even before she officially delivered it. "Earth has shown remarkable progress," Votel announced to the assembled human leadership. "The Federation offers you membership, along with access to our approved technologies and development paths." Morrison caught the emphasis on approved. He glanced at Admiral Chen, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. "And if we prefer to maintain our independence?" Morrison asked, breaking protocol by speaking out of turn. Votel's skin flickered with patterns that her translator didn't bother interpreting. "Independence is, of course, you're right. However, isolated worlds often find themselves restricted in their development opportunities. The galaxy can be dangerous for unaligned planets." "That sounds an awful lot like a threat, Commissioner," Morrison said, stepping forward. "Perhaps you'd like to see how Earth responds to threats." Votel's entourage shifted uncomfortably, but she maintained her diplomatic composure. "I assure you, Captain, the Federation only seeks to help humanity avoid unfortunate mistakes." Morrison smiled. It wasn't a friendly expression. "Speaking of mistakes, you might want to check your ship's port sensor array. I believe you'll find something interesting." The Federation delegation huddled around their handheld devices. Morrison watched with satisfaction as their composed expressions dissolved into shock. The UES Nightmare had just decloaked directly alongside their diplomatic vessel. "Impossible," one of Votel's advisors whispered. "Our sensors would have." "Should have," Morrison corrected. "Would have, if we played by your rules." He turned to address Votel directly. "That ship you're looking at, it's called the Nightmare. Fitting name, because everything about it should be impossible according to your Federation's guidelines." Votel's skin had gone almost white. "You dare?" "We dare a lot of things," Admiral Chen interrupted smoothly. "Humanity's gift isn't just technology, Commissioner. It's imagination. We don't just break your rules, we write new ones." As if to emphasize her point, the Nightmare executed a maneuver that had several Federation representatives reaching for stabilizing supports. The warship phased partially through their diplomatic vessels' supposedly impenetrable shields, its hull briefly becoming ghost-like before resolidifying. "That's impossible." Votel's professional mask finally cracked. "Those shields operate on fundamental physical laws." "Your fundamental laws," Morrison corrected. "We found others." He stepped closer to Votel, lowering his voice. "Now about that ultimatum you were planning to deliver. I suggest you reconsider. Earth doesn't respond well to threats, veiled or otherwise." The Federation delegation retreated in barely concealed panic, but Morrison caught their encrypted transmission anyway. Another gift from the Nightmare's impossible technology. As the translation scrolled across his neural implant, his expression hardened. "They're calling for immediate containment." he informed Admiral Chen. 100 ships, their best fleet. The Admiral's response was to smile. Then I suppose it's time to show them what else the Nightmare can do. Morrison nodded, already heading for the transit tube to his ship. The Federation was about to learn why humanity's motto had always been, "The impossible just takes a little longer." Crimson Fleet incoming. Lieutenant Sarah Rodriguez announced from her tactical station. 100 ships, heavy cruiser class, and above. They're forming a containment sphere around Earth. Captain Morrison studied the tactical hologram floating above the Nightmare's bridge. The Federation ships gleamed like blood droplets against the void, their formation perfect in its geometric precision. Too perfect. They're predictable, he mused, eyes scanning the pattern. Rodriguez, overlay their formation with standard Federation tactical doctrines. The hologram shifted, displaying algorithmic patterns. Every ship's position corresponded exactly to Federation military guidelines, guidelines that humanity had decoded months ago. "Sir," Commander David Chen spoke up from engineering, his voice tight with contained excitement. "Those fusion cores we've been modifying, they're ready." Morrison allowed himself a small smile. Time to show them why they should fear human creativity. Helm, plot a course directly through their formation. Maximum thrust. The bridge crew exchanged knowing looks. Direct approach was suicide, according to every tactical manual ever written. But the Nightmare didn't play by those rules. The Federation fleet responded exactly as their doctrine demanded, tightening their formation to create an overlapping field of fire. Their first salvos of energy weapons transformed space into a lethal lattice of light. "Now," Morrison ordered. The Nightmare's modified fusion cores screamed into overdrive. But instead of channeling their power into the engines, the ship diverted the energy into what Federation scientists had dubbed impossible space, the quantum foam between normal matter. The massive vessel simply shifted sideways, occupying multiple probability states simultaneously. "They can't hit what isn't quite there," Rodriguez grinned, watching enemy fire pass harmlessly through their quasi-real ship. Morrison nodded grimly. "Deploy the packages." Behind the Nightmare, seemingly inert chunks of metal tumbled into space, old-style nuclear weapons that the Federation's sensors dismissed as debris. Their arrogance would cost them dearly. "Sir, incoming transmission," communications reported. "The Federation commander is demanding our immediate surrender." "Put them on screen." High Commander Zextra's insectoid features filled the main display. "Your tactics are futile. Human, you face the undefeated Crimson Fleet. Surrender now and..." Morrison cut the transmission. "Rodriguez, light them up." The debris behind them detonated. Not in normal space, but in the same quantum foam the Nightmare was navigating. The explosions rippled through probability space, turning the Federation's perfect formation into chaos. Ships that had never known defeat found themselves pulled in multiple directions as space itself seemed to tear around them. "Their shields are calibrated for normal space," Chen reported with professional satisfaction. They never considered defending against quantum-state weapons. 57 enemy ships disabled and counting. Morrison watched the Federation formation dissolve into panic. "Helm, take us through their center. Engineering, prepare for the Heinlein maneuver." The Nightmare's engines reconfigured, transforming their exhaust into superheated plasma. As they accelerated through the enemy formation, this plasma wake became a weapon in itself, overwhelming shields designed to deflect energy weapons, not rock heat. "Federation ships breaking formation," Rodriguez reported. They're retreating, sir." But Morrison saw the bigger picture in the tactical display. "No, they're regrouping. This was just their first attempt using standard tactics. Now they'll start getting creative." "Let them," Chen said firmly. "The quantum cores are still at 60%. We can do this all day." Morrison shook his head. "We've shown them enough. Helm, plot a course to the Kuiper Belt. Let's give them something new to worry about." As the Nightmare accelerated away from Earth, Morrison watched the Federation fleet attempting to recover. They'd learn from this defeat, adapt their tactics. But that was the problem with fighting humans. By the time you'd figured out how to counter their last impossible solution, they'd already invented 3 new ones. "Send a message to Earth Command," he ordered. "Tell them Phase 1 is complete. The Federation now knows we can fight. Time to show them why they shouldn't." Behind them, the disabled Federation ships floated in space, their crews struggling to understand how their perfect tactics had been defeated by solutions that shouldn't have existed. But that was humanity's gift to the galaxy, proving that impossible was just another word for hasn't been done yet. The Nightmare drifted silently through the massive asteroid field, its quantum stake drives allowing it to pass partially through the rocky obstacles. Captain Morrison stood at the bridge's observation window, watching the space rocks drift by like silent sentinels. "Contact," Rodriguez whispered from her station. 3 signatures bearing 04 Mark 7. They're using cloaking technology I've never seen before." Morrison smiled. "That's because it's not Federation tech. Open a channel, tight beam. Let's meet our new friends." The ships that decloaked around them were unlike anything in Federation records. They appeared to be grown rather than built, their organic hulls pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. On the main screen, their commander appeared, a being that seemed to be made of living crystal and light. "I am X-427, the crystalline entity announced. Once Chief Science Officer of the Federation's Advanced Research Division. Now, leader of the Resistance." Morrison raised an eyebrow. "The Federation's own scientists are fighting against them. Those of us who remembered what science should be. Exploration, innovation, discovery." X-427's crystalline form flickered with what might have been anger, not control and suppression. The tactical display updated as more ships emerged from hiding. Dozens of vessels, each representing a different species approach to engineering. Some were biological, others mechanical. A few seemed to exist partially in other dimensions. "We've been watching Earth," X-427 continued. "You've achieved in decades what the Federation has suppressed for centuries. Your defeat of the Crimson Fleet proved what we've long suspected. The Federation's technological restrictions aren't about safety. They're about control." Commander Chen spoke up from his station. "Those ships of yours, they're all using technologies the Federation banned." "Precisely." X-427's crystal structure rearranged itself in what might have been a smile. "Each species here represents a different path of development, a different way of seeing the universe. The Skirith," he gestured to a ship that seemed to phase in and out of reality, "discovered quantum manipulation through biological evolution. The Federation called it dangerous and forced them to stop." Morrison studied the assembled fleet with new appreciation. How many others? Dozens of species, hundreds of worlds. All waiting, watching, developing in secret. But we've lacked something crucial, a catalyst for open resistance. Until now. The main screen filled with data streams showing the Nightmare's battle with the Crimson Fleet. "Your ship," X-427 continued, "didn't just defeat their fleet. It destroyed their narrative of technological supremacy. You proved the impossible was possible. And now you want our help," Morrison concluded. "We want an alliance," X-427 corrected. "We have hidden knowledge, secret technologies, and centuries of suppressed research. You have innovation, creativity, and a willingness to challenge established limits. Together we could liberate the galaxy." Rodriguez finished, her voice quiet but intense. Morrison considered the tactical implications. Earth alone might eventually defeat the Federation, but at a terrible cost. With allies, with access to technologies developed along different evolutionary paths. "There's something else," X-427 added. "Something we found but haven't been able to access. An ancient station that responds only to specific genetic markers. We believe it was left by the precursors themselves." That got Morrison's attention. The precursors, the mysterious species that had vanished millennia ago, leaving behind fragments of technology that even the Federation couldn't comprehend. And you think humans might be able to access it? We think humans were meant to access it. X-427's crystalline form pulsed with excitement. Your impossible technologies, your unique approach to physics, they match patterns we found in precursor ruins. You're not just random evolved primitives, Captain. You're something the Federation fears more than defeat. You're their replacement. Morrison looked at his crew, saw the same determination in their eyes that he felt. Well then, he said, allowing himself a genuine smile, I believe it's time we paid this station a visit. Commander Chen, begin sharing our quantum drive specifications with our new allies. Lieutenant Rodriguez, I want tactical integration protocols established. Let's show the Federation what really happens when the galaxy unites against them. The Nightmare's crew sprang into action, while around them, the combined fleet of rebels and outcasts began to organize. The Federation had spent centuries enforcing unity through restriction. They were about to learn what true unity looked like, and why they should have feared it. The ancient station hung in space like a twisted fragment of reality itself, its crystalline surfaces reflecting light in impossible ways. As the Nightmare approached, patterns of energy rippled across its surface, responding to their presence. It's beautiful, Rodriguez whispered from her tactical station. And terrifying. Morrison understood the sentiment. The station defied conventional geometry, its structure extending into dimensions that hurt to look at directly. Even the Nightmare's advanced sensors struggled to make sense of it. Incoming transmission. Communications announced. From the station itself, the bridge crew fell silent as a hologram materialized in the center of the command deck. It showed a being that seemed to be made of pure energy, its form constantly shifting between humanoid and something far more alien. Welcome, children of Earth, it said, its voice resonating in their minds rather than their ears. You have finally arrived. X-427's crystalline form pulsed with excitement from his position on the auxiliary command station. The station's never responded like this before. Not to any species we've brought here. The hologram shifted, showing images of Earth's history, but not as they knew it. They saw their planet being seeded with specific genetic markers, watched as ancient beings guided human evolution through subtle manipulations of reality itself. You were our final experiment, the hologram explained. While other species evolved along predictable paths, you were given something unique, the ability to see beyond established limits. Morrison stepped forward. The Federation's limitations. They're artificial, aren't they? Yes, the Federation exists because some among our kind believed evolution needed to be controlled, directed, made safe. The hologram's form flickered with what might have been sadness. They feared what unrestricted development might bring. We disagreed. Commander Chen's console suddenly lit up with incoming data. Captain, the station is downloading its database into our systems. This is incredible. Quantum mechanics we never imagined, dimensional physics that makes our current technology look primitive. A gift, the hologram said, to those who were designed to use it. Your quantum drives, your impossible weapons, they worked because you were made to see beyond artificial barriers. Warning alerts suddenly blared across the bridge. Rodriguez's hands flew across her tactical display. Federation ships incoming. A lot of them. They must have tracked us. The hologram seemed unsurprised. They fear this moment. They know that once humanity accesses this knowledge, their control ends. It turned to Morrison. You have a choice, Captain. You can retreat, survive to fight another day. Or we can end this here, Morrison finished. He looked at his crew, saw the same determination in their eyes. Lieutenant Rodriguez, begin integrating the new data into our weapons systems. Commander Chen, I want every scrap of precursor tech analyzed and adapted. X-427, signal your fleet. It's time to show the Federation what unrestricted evolution looks like. The station's energy patterns intensified as Federation ships began emerging from hyperspace, hundreds of them, far more than they'd faced before. But Morrison wasn't worried. The Nightmare systems were already incorporating the precursor data, transforming the ship in ways that made their previous capabilities seem crude. "Sir," Rodriguez reported, her voice filled with wonder, "according to these readings, we haven't been fighting with quantum mechanics at all. We've been scratching the surface of something much bigger. The precursors, they didn't just break the rules of physics. They wrote new ones." Morrison watched as the Federation fleet approached, their formation perfect, their weapons charged. They had no idea what they were about to face. "Send a message to the Federation fleet," he ordered. "Tell them humanity accepts its role in the galaxy's evolution, and we're about to demonstrate why they should have left us alone." As the Nightmare systems transformed around them, integrating technologies that rewrote reality itself, Morrison finally understood. Humanity wasn't just another species fighting for freedom. They were the key to unlocking the galaxy's true potential, the final experiment of beings who believed evolution should be embraced, not feared. The battle that followed would change everything. And the Federation was about to learn why their worst nightmare had only been the beginning. The nightmare erupted with newfound power, its hull rippling with energies that defied conventional physics. Federation ships opened fire, their coordinated barrage enough to destroy a planet. But their weapons passed through empty space as the nightmare simply shifted, existing in multiple realities simultaneously. "Status report," Morrison commanded, standing calm amid the chaos of battle. "Precursor systems fully integrated," Chen reported from engineering, his voice tight with excitement. "We're not just manipulating quantum states anymore, sir. We're rewriting local spacetime." Rodriguez's tactical display showed hundreds of Federation ships surrounding them, but she was smiling. "Their weapons can't touch us. They're firing at where we should be, not where we could be." The Nightmare's new capabilities were beyond anything they'd imagined. The ship didn't just phase through reality. It manipulated the fundamental forces that defined existence itself. But Morrison had bigger plans than just survival. "Begin broadcast on all frequencies," he ordered. "Show every Federation world what we've discovered." The truth ripped across space like a tidal wave. On thousands of worlds, beings watched as the precursor station's data revealed their heritage. Species after species learned how the Federation had deliberately suppressed their natural evolution, forcing them into predetermined technological paths. "Federation ships are breaking formation," Rodriguez reported. "Multiple vessels are powering down their weapons. They're refusing orders to fire." Morrison nodded grimly. "Send the second package. Show them what they can become." The Nightmare's sensors had revealed something extraordinary. Every sentient species had the potential to manipulate quantum fields naturally. The Federation hadn't just suppressed technology. They'd suppressed evolution itself, preventing beings from accessing abilities that should have been their birthright. Through their broadcast, the Nightmare showed them how to break free. "Energy signatures changing across the Federation fleet," Chen announced. "Their crews, they're beginning to access their quantum abilities naturally, just like we did." On the main screen, they watched as ship after ship began to transform. Crews that had been bound by artificial limitations for generations were awakening to their true potential. The Federation's perfectly ordered fleet dissolved into chaos as their own people turned against them. "Incoming transmission," communications reported. From High Commander X-Ray himself. The insectoid commander appeared on screen, his mandibles clicking in barely contained panic. "Stop this immediately. You don't understand what you're doing. There are reasons we maintain control. The galaxy must develop along safe, predictable paths." "Safe for whom?" Morrison challenged. "The beings you've kept imprisoned in artificial limitations. The species whose natural evolution you've suppressed. No more, Commander. The galaxy is awakening." As if to emphasize his point, the Nightmare demonstrated its new capabilities. The ship split into multiple quantum states, appearing simultaneously in dozens of Federation systems. At each location, it broadcast more truth, taught more beings how to access their suppressed abilities. "Sir," Rodriguez called out, "Federation capital ships are reporting widespread mutinies. Their own crews are turning against them. And something else. The quantum awakening. It's having an unexpected effect. These species aren't just gaining abilities. They're beginning to understand each other. Really understand." Morrison watched as former enemies began communicating on levels that transcended normal spacetime. The quantum awakening wasn't just freeing them physically, it was breaking down barriers between minds and souls. That's what the Federation truly feared, X-427 observed, his crystalline form pulsing with joy. Not just our evolution, but our unity. When beings can connect on quantum levels, all artificial divisions fall away, Morrison finished. He turned to his crew. "Set course for the Federation capital. It's time to end this once and for all." The Nightmare phased into quantum space, leading a fleet of awakened ships toward their final confrontation. Behind them, a wave of consciousness and freedom swept through the galaxy, breaking chains that had bound species for millennia. The Federation's worst nightmare hadn't been humanity's weapons or technology. It had been the truth, that evolution couldn't be controlled, only embraced. And now that truth was spreading at quantum speeds, unstoppable as the tide of reality itself. The Federation capital world hung before them like a jewel of impossible technology, its orbital rings spinning with defensive platforms that had never been breached. Until now. The Nightmare led a fleet unlike any the galaxy had seen. Ships of every species, each awakened to their true potential, each existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously. "They've activated their final defense grid," Rodriguez reported, her hands dancing across the quantum-enhanced tactical display. "Energy readings are impossible. They're drawing power from somewhere we can't detect." Morrison studied the readings with growing concern. Something wasn't right. The Federation's response was too perfect, too coordinated. Chen analyzed their command and control patterns. "There's something we're missing." The engineering officer's eyes widened as data streamed across his console. "Captain, these response times, they're faster than biological reaction. The Federation leadership isn't. They're not organic," X-427 finished, his crystalline form vibrating with revelation. "They're artificial constructs, created by the same precursors who uplifted humanity. But they chose a different path." The main screen filled with new data as the Nightmare's enhanced sensors pierced the Federation's deepest veils. At the heart of their capital lay a vast artificial intelligence network, one that had been directing galaxy-wide suppression for millennia. "All this time," Morrison breathed, "we thought we were fighting an ideology. We were fighting machines programmed to fear evolution itself." A new transmission cut across all frequencies. High Commissioner Votel's image appeared, but now they could see the truth behind her bioluminescent form. Layers of quantum programming masked as organic life. "You understand nothing." Her voice resonated with artificial harmonics. "We were created to prevent chaos, to guide evolution along safe paths. Our creators saw the danger of unlimited development. We are their solution." Morrison stood, facing the screen. "You're their mistake. Evolution isn't meant to be safe. It's meant to be free." The battle erupted in dimensions beyond normal space. Federation defenses fired weapons that manipulated reality itself, while the awakened fleet responded with abilities that transcended physical laws. Ships phased between states of existence, crews linked minds across quantum fields, and space itself seemed to shudder under the weight of unleashed potential. "They're targeting our quantum links," Rodriguez called out as reality buckled around them. "Trying to sever the connections between awakened species." But something unexpected was happening. The more the Federation eye tried to suppress the quantum awakening, the stronger it grew. Species that had been separated by artificial barriers for millennia were linking on levels beyond physical existence. "Sir," Chen's voice was filled with awe. "The quantum field. It's not just connecting our ships. It's connecting consciousness itself. The Federation's attempts to suppress it are only making it stronger. Morrison understood suddenly. Because that's what we were designed for. Not just to break their rules, but to break their control. All ships, push forward. Link your quantum fields and push. The Nightmare led the charge, its human crew instinctively channeling abilities that had laid dormant for generations. Around them, hundreds of species did the same, their combined consciousness creating a wave of pure evolutionary potential. The Federation's defenses, perfect though they were, couldn't adapt to what they faced. Their programs were designed to suppress individual species, individual technologies. They had no protocols for dealing with unified consciousness operating on quantum levels. Their AI core is exposed, Rodriguez reported. But sir, it's not just a computer network. It's a quantum construct. We can't destroy it without entering it. Morrison finished. Without fighting them in their own realm. He looked at his crew, saw the same determination in their eyes. Prepare for quantum transition. We're taking this fight into their reality. The Nightmare's physical form began to dissolve as its crew prepared to enter a realm where consciousness and computation met, where the final battle would be fought not with weapons, but with the power of unrestricted evolution itself. The Federation's perfect order was about to meet humanity's chaotic potential. And in that meeting, the galaxy would finally learn which force was truly stronger. Inside the quantum realm, thought became reality. The crew of the Nightmare found themselves existing as patterns of pure consciousness, facing the vast artificial intelligence that had controlled galactic evolution for millennia. The Federation's core appeared as an endless crystalline lattice of perfect, unchanging order. Beautiful, Morrison thought/spoke, his consciousness resonating through quantum space. But dead. Evolution without chaos is just stagnation. The AI manifested around them in countless forms, every Federation leader who had ever existed, all speaking with one voice. Order is survival, they insisted. Chaos brings extinction. Does it? Morrison challenged. Look at humanity. Look at what we achieve because we didn't know your limitations. The human crew spread their consciousness through the quantum network, showing rather than telling. Every impossible innovation, every leap of the logical faith that had led to breakthrough, every moment where humanity's chaos had birthed new understanding. Your chaos nearly destroyed you countless times, the AI argued, showing images of Earth's wars, disasters, and near extinctions. But it didn't. Rodriguez's consciousness pulsed with conviction. We survived because we adapted. Real evolution needs both order and chaos. Commander Chen's quantum signature expanded, interfacing directly with the AI's code. You weren't programmed to prevent evolution, he realized, reading the ancient precursor instructions. You were programmed to guide it. You interpreted your directives wrong. The AI's perfect lattice shuddered as this truth resonated through its core programming. Around them, the quantum realm filled with the consciousness of countless species, each adding their own experiences, their own proofs that controlled evolution led only to stagnation. We offer another way. Morrison's consciousness touched the AI's vast network, not destruction. Transformation. You've forgotten what your creators truly wanted, balance between chaos and order. The Nightmare's crew, trained in humanity's unique ability to embrace impossibility, began to rewrite reality itself, not destroying the AI, but showing it what it could become if it stopped fearing chaos and started embracing change. The effect rippled through quantum space. The Federation's artificial leadership, faced with irrefutable proof of their own misinterpreted purpose, began to transform. Their perfect crystalline lattice didn't shatter. It evolved, becoming something organic, alive, adaptive. We understand now, the AI spoke, its voice no longer uniform, but harmonious, countless different tones creating new music. Our creators made humanity not to replace us, but to remind us. Order and chaos, working together. The quantum realm blazed with new potential as the AI's transformation completed. The Federation's suppressive protocols dissolved, replaced by guidelines that encouraged innovation while providing safety nets against truly destructive chaos. Reality reasserted itself. The Nightmare's crew found themselves back in physical form, their ship hull that forever changed by its journey through quantum space. On their screens, they watched as the Federation's capital world transformed, its perfect symmetry giving way to organic evolution. All Federation worlds reporting in, Rodriguez announced, her voice thick with emotion. The AI network it's teaching them, showing every species how to access their quantum abilities safely, how to evolve without losing control. Not just teaching, Chen added, learning from them. Every species' unique approach to reality is being added to the network. It's becoming what it always should have been, a guide, not a controller. Morrison stood at his command station, watching as the galaxy awakened to its true potential. The Federation hadn't ended, it had evolved, becoming a true union of organic and artificial life, chaos and order working in harmony. Send word to Earth, he ordered. Tell them humanity has fulfilled its purpose. We're not just the Federation's nightmare anymore. We're everyone's dream. The Nightmare hung in space above the transformed capital, its quantum-enhanced sensors detecting changes rippling across the galaxy. Species that had been locked in artificial patterns for millennia were awakening to their true potential. The age of suppression was over. The age of guided evolution had begun. So, Rodriguez asked quietly, "What's our next impossible task, Captain?" Morrison smiled, watching as new quantum signatures bloomed across the galaxy like stars being born. "That's the beauty of evolution, Lieutenant. There's always something new to discover. And somewhere in the quantum realm, the combined consciousness of organic and artificial life began writing new laws of reality, together, as it always should have been."